Hello and welcome to my channel GMAT Monk. In this video I am going to cover about your GMAT syllabus. So let's get started. So let's get started, guys. GMAT sections and subjects. There are three sections basically. One is verbal section. Then you have the quant section, and then you have IR and AWA section. So IR is integrated reasoning and AWA is analytical writing assessment. So there will be three sections and total 4 subjects: verbal, quant, IR and then AWA. Now total exam duration would be around 3 hours and 30 minutes. So for each section how much time would be there, that I would cover in next few slides. And you can have your order of preference. So this is not the fixed sequence that verbal, quant and IR, AWA. You can have verbal first, then quant and then IR and AWA, or you can have quant first, then verbal and then IR and AWA, or you can have third order or third sequence, IR and AWA, then quant and then verbal. So you can choose your sequence as per your preference. So here is GMAT syllabus. AWA, that is analytical writing assessment. So you would be having one analytical writing assessment, and the total duration for your AWA would be 30 minutes. You have to analyze an argument. There would be an argument or a short passage, and the author of that passage would have concluded something based on some premises. You have to critically examine that passage, whether the author has used correct reasoning to reach the conclusion. So based on that you have to analyze and write your essay. So AWA is of 0 to 6 marks. So minimum marks would be 0 and maximum you can get 6 marks in AWA. Then next comes IR, that is integrated reasoning. So 12 questions would be there, and again you would be given 30 minutes only. So you would be checked on data interpretation and your analytical skills in this section, and you can get 1 to 8 marks in this section. That is minimum marks you can get is 1 and the maximum you can get is 8. More than 5 marks is considered a good one. Here more than 4.5 is considered a good mark, but you try to get 5 or more than 5. Now the third topic would be quant, that is quantitative aptitude, your maths and decision skills. So there would be basic mathematics. Decision would be tested by your data sufficiency, that whatever data are available, are those data enough or sufficient to reach a conclusion, or you require more data to get to that conclusion. There will be total 31 questions and the duration would be 62 minutes. That is, per question you would be given around 2 minutes. And the marking would be 6 to 51. So minimum mark would be 6 and the maximum you can get is 51. Next would be your verbal section, that is verbal reasoning. So in verbal you would be tested on English, then comprehension and then reasoning. Your grammar would be tested, your reasoning skills would be tested, and your comprehension or understanding of an issue or of an passage would be tested in this topic. There would be 36 questions in this section, and you will be given 65 minutes to answer these 36 questions. So there will be around 1 minute and 49 seconds to answer each question. And this also be of 6 to 51 marks, that is minimum you can get 6 and maximum you can get is 51 marks in verbal. So let's move ahead. So we would see quantitative aptitude. So what are the categories in your quant? One would be problem solving, and the second would be data sufficiency. So in problem solving you would be given a problem and you will have to solve that question and get some value as your answer. There will be 5 options and you have to pick one option based on what you have solved. In data sufficiency there will be some data given, 2 statements will be given, statement 1 and statement 2, and you have to find that the statement 1 alone is sufficient, or statement 2 alone is sufficient, or the statement together are sufficient to reach a conclusion or reach an answer, or both the data together cannot give the answer. So there are some 5 options I would cover in next slide. So data sufficiency is not getting the exact solution or exact value, but it's about predicting whether the given statements are enough to reach a conclusion or reach an answer. So you have to just test the sufficiency of the data given. Now the number of questions in quant would be 31. In your problem solving there would be somewhere around 17 to 18 questions, and in your DS there would be around 13 to 14 questions. So problem solving questions will be more than data sufficiency questions. The proportion would be around 60 to 40. Now in quantitative aptitude, what will be tested? There will be two types of problems that you have seen. Now which type of problems would be asked in these two categories? So that would be your basic mathematics, that is your high school maths only. So you would be tested on your basic algebra, you would be tested on your basic arithmetic skills, your basic geometry, and then number system. So these are four topics that you will be tested upon. Now in these four sections, that is number system, arithmetic, algebra and geometry, there are certain subtopics that we would cover here, that what are the subtopics on which you would be tested, on which the problems would be framed in GMAT exam, whether it is problem solving or your data sufficiency. So in number system, you would be tested on integers, irrational numbers, fractions, last digit of a product, last digit of a power. So you would be tested upon roots, then decimals and then remainders. So these are the topics that would be covered in your number system. Then in arithmetic, you would be tested on your set theory. Then you would be tested on statistics, mean, median, mode and standard deviation. Then you would be tested on percentage, simple and compound interest, speed, time, distance, ratio and proportion, mixture and alligation, work and time, then sequence and progression, and then other word problems are there. Now in algebra, you would be tested upon algebraic expressions, linear equations, quadratic equations, exponents, inequalities, absolute values, permutation and combination, and then probability. So these are the topics that would be covered in your algebra part. Then in geometry, you would be tested upon your understanding of angles and lines, then your understanding of triangles, your knowledge on quadrilaterals, then circles, polygons. Then you would be tested on coordinate geometry also. Then 3D geometry and solids would also be there. In solids or 3D geometry, there would be cube or cuboid, there would be spheres, cones or cylinders. So these are the subtopics which would be tested in your quantitative aptitude. So these topics would almost cover 99% of the quantitative aptitude, and the remaining 1% may be on your general understanding of mathematics or calculations. So here is an example of problem solving. So you will be given some problem statement such as 4m plus n is 20 and absolute value of n is less than or equal to 20. So based on these two statements, you have to find how many ordered pairs in n exist in which m and n both are integers. So you have to find m n integer value based on these two equations. So you have to solve these two equations and you have to find out how many ordered pairs would exist. So there would be 5 options A, B, C, D and E. So based on your solution, you have to pick one option and then press submit button. Next we would cover data sufficiency example. So here is a data sufficiency example question. So as I said, there would be two statements, two data are given, and then here in the problem statement also there would be some data given. So the question is, did David solve more questions than Steve in a 2-hour test? So it is given a 2-hour test is there, and here two statements are given. So here you can frame one equation and here you can frame one equation. So based on this two statement and the problem statement, you have to pick one option out of these 5 options A, B, C, D and E. So these 5 options in data sufficiency questions would be fixed. The option A would be statement 1 alone is sufficient. That is, there is some equation and that equation itself is sufficient to give the answer. And what is the answer? Answer you have to give that, did David solve more questions than Steve in a 2-hour test? So can you get an answer based on the first statement itself? So option A would be statement 1 alone is sufficient, but statement 2 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. Now the B option would always be statement 2 alone is sufficient, but statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Then option C would be both statement 1 and 2 together are sufficient to answer the question asked, but neither statement alone is sufficient to answer the question asked. Now the option D would always be each statement alone is sufficient to answer the question asked. That is, you can get the answer from this statement alone also or from this statement alone also. And the fifth option, that is the E option, would be statement 1 and 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question asked. That means that you need additional data to answer this question. So this was the example of DS. Now more examples on each question type and variation and the tutorial would be in my next video or other videos. So do not miss that video. Now the next section would be verbal reasoning. In verbal there would be 3 categories. So the first would be sentence correction, second type would be critical reasoning, and then the third type of questions would be reading comprehension. So in sentence correction questions, there would be one sentence and a portion of that sentence would be underlined, and you have to find out whether the underlined portion is error free or that contains some error. And then based on your grammar or logical knowledge, you have to rectify that error. That is, you have to correct that error. So that is sentence correction question. In critical reasoning, you will be given a short passage, and based on the premises and the conclusion, you may be asked to strengthen that argument or weaken that argument, or there can be various different categories also. In reading comprehension questions, you will be given a long passage containing 3 or 4 paragraphs mostly, and then based on your comprehension and understanding of that passage, there will be 3 or 4 questions asked. There will be different type of questions, and based on your understanding and comprehension, you have to answer those questions. Now the total number of questions in verbal reasoning would be 36, and these questions would be distributed between RC, CR and SC such that your reading comprehension will have 4 number of passages. 3 of the passages will have 3 questions each, and the 4th passage will have 4 number of questions. So total 12 to 13 questions would be there for reading comprehension. For critical reasoning, there will be 10 to 11 questions, and for sentence correction, there will be 13 to 14 questions in your verbal reasoning part. So sentence correction question numbers would be a little higher than the reading comprehension or critical reasoning questions. So in sentence correction, you would be tested on your grammar, the meaning and the structure. So there are different categories on which your questions would be based. So there would be questions on subject-verb agreement, whether the subject and the verb are in agreement or not. Then you would be tested on pronouns, you would be tested on verbs, then tense, then comparisons, then parallelism, modifier, idioms and usage, then prepositions, subjunctive, precision in language, and then meaning and logic. This is the most important of all. The meaning and the logic of that sentence should always be correct. So you will be tested on these topics, and it is desired that your basic grammar is good enough. If not, then you can learn the basic grammar also. So next topic would be critical reasoning. In critical reasoning, you would be tested upon the conclusions, the premises, and the reasoning and connection between the premises and the conclusion. Whether the conclusion is based upon strong logic or there is flaw in the reasoning. So you will be tested upon whether the argument is effective or not. You have to find the faulty logic between the premise and the conclusion. Then you would be tested upon some goal plan question. Then you would be tested upon the conclusion question. There would be some premises and you have to find out the best conclusion. Then you would be tested upon inference, then strengthen the argument, weaken the argument, evaluate the argument. Then what should be the assumption on which the author has come to the conclusion. Then you would be tested upon some explain or justify questions. Some bold-faced questions would be there. Then there would be some mimic the reasoning question. That is, you have to pick some example in which similar reasoning or similar logic has been used. Then you may be asked on resolving some paradox, then some method of reasoning, and then some miscellaneous questions will be there. So I would cover each of these topics and questions in my tutorial videos on critical reasoning, sentence correction or reading comprehension, and then detailed examples on the problem solving and data sufficiency also. So I would cover all these things in my tutorial videos, so don't miss those videos. Then next, in reading comprehension, you would need a good comprehension and understanding of the passage. Now there would be different type of passages. So the topic of the passage can come from humanities or social science, or it can be from physical science, that is geography or physics or astronomy, etc. Then the passage may be based upon business or economics, or the bio or medical sciences or research topic. So these are the most commonly asked type of passages. And the questions would be based upon the tone or intention of the author, the main idea of the passage, the inferences that you can get. The detailed questions would also be there based on some examples, or according to passage some questions would be there, some detailed questions would be there. Then the questions may be based on the structure of the passage. Then you may be asked some analogies, or some questions would be out of the box also. And you also have to concentrate on summary of each of the paragraph to answer these questions. So here is an example of sentence correction question. So there would be a sentence and part of the sentence would be underlined, and you will be given 5 options to correct the error in this underlined portion. So the underlined portion may or may not be correct. There can be error many times, and many times this sentence as it is can be correct. So the first option would be as it is. Whatever is written in the question statement, the same would be in option A. Then option B, C, D and E would correct this underlined portion in some way or the other. and you have to find which option is the correct based on the complete sentence, the grammar, the meaning or the logic of the sentence. Our next example is CR example. You will be given a short passage and then a question statement would follow. So question may be, which of the following if true best exposes the flaw in Haley's response to Willie's criticism. There can be different type of questions, so that I will cover in my tutorial videos. This is just an example of CR type of question. And then here is a reading comprehension example. There will be a long passage, 3 to 4 paragraphs would be there, and based on this paragraph questions would be asked and you have to select one option and then move ahead for getting another question. So for one passage there would be 3 to 4 questions and one by one you have to answer and move ahead to complete one passage. So more examples on each question type and variation would follow in next video. Now integrated reasoning. Integrated reasoning have 4 categories. So there would be graphical interpretation, table analysis question, 2-part analysis, and the 4th type would be multi-source reasoning. So total number of questions would be 12. 3 sets of graphical interpretation question would be there. 2 sets of table analysis would be there, 4 sets of 2-part analysis question would be there, and 1 set into 3 questions would be there for multi-source reasoning. So what is the meaning of sets? This 4 set does not mean 4 questions. There can be more than 1 question in one set. So one set can comprise of 2 to 3 questions and you have to answer all the questions correctly to make that set correct. So we would see in next slide. So here are example of graphical interpretation and table analysis. Different type of graphs or chart can be given, a bar chart or a pie chart or some linear graphs or combination of graphs would be given, and then some details would be given, and then based on these details you would be asked few questions. So this graph would be one set of graphical question, and in this one set of graph there can be 2 or 3 questions. Now in table analysis, a table would be given, there would be different rows and different columns, and you can sort the table based on different columns, that is, and there would be some data given, and based on this table you would be asked a question. Now here you can see that in this question there are 4 statements, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you have to find out whether this statement is true or false. Now to answer this set or this table analysis question correctly, you have to answer all these 4 questions correctly. Similarly, here is example of 2-part analysis and multi-source reasoning. So in 2-part analysis you will be given a question statement or some data, and then 2 part would be there, and you have to select one option in each of these 2 parts based on the question asked. Similarly, in multi-source reasoning there will be more than 1 tab. There can be 2 tabs or 3 tabs, and some data or some information would be under one tab, then some other data or information would be under the other tab, and you have to combine all the data or all the information from all these tabs, and then based on the combination you have to answer the questions. So there will be 1 set of MSR and 3 questions would be there in 1 set. So you can refer my IR video for more details, examples and strategies on each type. Now next we move on analytical writing assessment. So the AWA section requires you to analyze the reasoning behind a given argument and then write a critique of that argument. You have to evaluate the argument based on its merits. So AWA types are basically 2 types of essays can be there. One can be analysis of an issue and the other can be analysis of an argument. So number of essays would be 1 in GMAT, and analysis of argument type is more commonly asked in GMAT. So next we would see one example. So here is an example of AWA. So there would be given something like that. The following appeared in a memorandum written by the chair of the music department to the president of Omega University, and then there would be the argument or the information. There would be some premises or some reasoning, and there would be one conclusion, and then there would be your question statement. So this question statement would be same and constant. So your question statement would be, discuss how well reasoned you find this argument. In your discussion, be sure to analyze the line of reasoning and the use of evidence in the argument. For example, you may need to consider what questionable assumptions underline the thinking and what alternative explanations or counterexamples might weaken the conclusion. You can also discuss what sort of evidence would strengthen or refute the argument, what changes in the argument would make it more logically sound. That is, you have to evaluate the argument. And what, if anything, would help you better evaluate its conclusions. So basically you have to analyze the argument and write a beautiful essay So I would cover how to write AWA essays and which pattern you should follow in my AWA video. So do not miss that lecture video. So here is the summary of this GMAT syllabus video. So there would be 4 topics tested: quant, verbal, IR and AVA. And only quant and verbal are considered towards your overall GMAT score. That is, if you get quant some score and verbal some score, so only those 2 scores would be responsible for your overall GMAT score. And IR and AWA are scored separately and they do not contribute for your overall GMAT score, which is out of 800. Now scoring, a greater than 700 score is good score. If you get Q50 or verbal 34 or 35, you can get a 700 score. If you get Q50 or verbal 37 or 38, then you can get 720 score. So AWA, your score should be greater than 4.5 and IR, your score should be greater than 5. Now this is not a pass mark, but generally a score greater than 5 is considered good for IR and a score greater than 4.5 is considered good for AWA. So that's all guys. I hope you would have liked this video. So if you like this video, please do not forget to subscribe my channel and please hit the like and share button for this video and other videos as well. And do not forget to hit the bell icon also, so that you can get notification of my next video as early as possible. You can follow me on social media also. You can mail me on gmatmonk@gmail.com. On Facebook you can follow me on gmatmonk, on Twitter gmatmonk, and on Instagram gmatmonk. So thank you guys. Meet you in my next informative videos or tutorial videos. Thank you.